Hello, welcome to SquishiVision. River's trying to eat my chicken. Um, Gonna make this super quick because I need to leave in 14 minutes. So, for Trari. So, gonna go through this as fast as I humanly can. I'm gonna give my immediate thoughts and reactions. I don't know why my computer just did a weird thing. My immediate thoughts and reactions to Cut and Run, which was the second episode of Bad Batch. And then without having any chance to really go think about it, because this is what we do here. So, um, um, yeah, I like stuff. So I don't know if I should have made a connection last week. Made a connection on Tuesday, 3 days ago. But this was where they were going. But I guess it's a relatively obscure fact in the Star Wars lore that I might be forgiven for not making the connection without doing some extra research. But of course, the planet they're going to is the one that Cut lives on. And Cut, I remember, was a character from, I think, a 2 or 3-parter in Clone Wars when they are on a planet and the Rex gets injured. So they kind of find some shelter. And it turns out the shelter is about of a clone deserter. One of the few rare people who, clones who have left the Republic and left the army. I don't think, well, no, we almost, certainly not in the Clone Wars where we ever introduced the idea that the Bad Batch knew about Cut. He didn't appear in the 4 episodes that they appeared in. I don't think the Bad Batch have appeared really anything else yet. So this is kind of, it's not the immediate connection, but they do apparently know, the Bad Batch know about Cut. I guess it's strange because why would Rex tell other clones? Why would Rex tell the Bad Batch? I mean, I'm assuming Rex told the Bad Batch. They could have just found out otherwise, but it seems odd that any of the, because there's no Echo, so I don't think Echo was there when they last met. So which means Echo wasn't there when Rex got injured. So yeah, I need to maybe really look up at that. I may be missing something, but I don't think. Yeah. So why would one of the clones who met Cut before tell the Bad Batch when they didn't? When the Power First never really had a good relationship with the Bad Batch, as do not many clones. Why would they assume the Bad Batch were trustworthy for people to tell about this? That does seem a bit odd now that I think about it. But getting beyond that point, yeah, so they arrive and it's great to see these like returning characters. I'm glad we get able to explore like lore and revisit this lore. And he looks a bit older, and everyone else is a bit older. And I think it was a good episode on like parenting, which is something that Star Wars often does, but is like very recently. It's one of like the main themes of The Mandalorian, for example. So clearly that's going to tie in there thematically, anyway, not anything else. Oh, and it was like actually a really wholesome scene when we see Omega like experiencing an alien planet for the first time, because you got to remember she grew up in Camino, which I'm sure actually never has any sunlight, so it's raining and wet in Camino, and obviously she's probably spent her entire life in artificial structures. So then for her to go onto a new planet and experience dirt and sun and wildlife is actually quite cute. There was another cute moment in the episode as well. I can't remember where it was, but I didn't go, oh. So it was a really wholesome episode. Yeah, I mean, and Omega's actually done more or less okay. So sometimes she borders on kind of annoying child character, but for the most part, it's genuine and believable, and you can understand someone with this background would kind of act in this way. It's usually, people usually don't do child. The problem with child characters isn't the acting and isn't the concept of children. It's the fact that writers who are often children themselves don't really understand how to write children. And as much as I like to believe that I would not fall into that trap of not understanding children, because I used to always see myself as a child when I grew up and have positions of authority over children myself. I will remember what I was like as a child and ensure that I did better and spoke to them from how I would have once been spoken to as a child. Now that I'm older, I've realised that's impossible because of generation gaps, generation distinctions. As an adult, you just become more cynical and jaded, and you lose all that naivety and wonder. You lose the patience to deal with the things that children want to deal with. Yeah, so I guess it kind of comments on that really. So I'll probably end up writing children characters when I get into like more professional script writing, and they'll probably do the same mistakes that I'm kind of lauding. But children don't have to be this annoying. I mean, they can be, but they generally aren't realistically that so. But like I'm saying, Mega's not been done terribly. And we're kind of sowing the seeds about how Omega kind of represents some particular part, some particular ability that hasn't really been outed yet. And I think we can, but I think she's a reader, and I think that's pretty apparent. I think it was apparent in the last episode, especially that time when she approaches Crosshair and puts a hand on Crosshair's arm and is like, "I understand that you're angry, and it's not your fault." Kind of almost having a premonition about what he was going to do later on in the episode. And when she was following Hunter, she was kind of mimicking his moves, and I think that's actually she's meant to be able to experience other people's feelings and thoughts and like an empath. So if she reads Hunter, she can use Hunter's abilities, for example. I think that's what she is. I think it's what she represents. But I guess we'll find out. I still think it's a really great concept that they here's a defective clone who differs from other clones because they're a different gender. I wasn't expecting that. I'm talking about last episode, no, not this episode. Yeah, it was great to see Cut again. Definitely one of the more interesting. I think they could have done more with the character's idea of deserting the Republic. They could have definitely done more of. And definitely one of the characters who I've kind of referred to as being interesting guest characters of the week from the Clone Wars. What else? I felt a bit about Omega was rushed, and it was rushed in that contrived way, it was a deliberate rushing. It was rushed so they didn't have time to communicate. But I hate contrived instances of miscommunication. I think it's one of the biggest misused plot points of all time is when a plot conflict only happens because people don't communicate. So I hate the fact that Hunter only told Omega that he was giving her away at the last possible second, so there wasn't any space for a conversation, which obviously means that Omega thinks that she's being abandoned. And then obviously she kind of has that last moment, I don't want to stay with him anyway, and goes and runs back to them. And I just cringe because I don't like that kind of execution of story, really. I think really better if it was more drawn out and a longer discussion, but I guess that's kind of the point. Neither of them really know how to communicate with each other. So I guess that's kind of the point. Maybe out of all the instances that's happening, this is one I can't be that as angry about as anything else. It's interesting because we've gone from a 74-minute episode with lots to talk about to a half an hour episode with not so much to talk about. So I guess with it being half an hour long and with me having to get off very shortly, maybe I'll just wrap it up there. But I like this episode. I still think the series is going strong. It doesn't leave us with so much of a plot hook for next week. We don't know what's happening next. They didn't really get. I think we kind of lost track of what really was their intent of going to see Cut in the first place. And that, I mean, these clones, I understand, are often one-minded in certain respects, but presumably they're not, asinine to the degree of naivety. But yeah, but they are. So yeah, that's my thoughts for this episode. Next week's could be next week, so you gotta, as well as 2-in-1 releases on Disney Plus, get 2-in-1 of me. How fun for you, I guess. So yeah, I'm gonna finish my food. Stave off my cat, who is glaring at me because he wants my food. And yeah, see you next week.